All right, so there's a lot of news coming out of Terrytown involving Rangers captain Jacob Trouba and his status with the franchise. So let's get you all caught up with some facts, not all that Twitter speculation that's going on out there, with our New York Post Rangers beat writer, Mollie Walker. Mollie, I know it's been an absolutely crazy day for you, crazy couple of weeks for you. This is something that you and Larry Brooks have been on from the offseason when you reported to me that the Rangers were attempting to move on from Trouba. Ultimately, they weren't able to do so. So what do you think was the tipping point for Chris Drury to get Trouba out of New York? And what are your thoughts on him being traded to Anaheim that just broke?
I don't think there was necessarily a tipping point with the player, I don't think, but more so a tipping point with the team. They're 1-6 in their last 7, but anybody who's watched this team this season knows that they're severely underperforming. They're off kilt. They're disjointed. There's just no cohesion to anything they've been doing. And unfortunately, there hasn't been much indication from Jacob Trouba that he can help turn this ship around, both on the ice or off. And as captain, obviously, that's part of the job. And I do think that it's a very layered situation. This is a business. This is a professional sports league, but everybody has feelings and is entitled to feel the way that they feel. And I can imagine it's hard to play and commit to an organization that has, whether it was intentionally or unintentionally, been so public about wanting to move on from him. At the same time, Trouba has always been a consummate professional and been able to differentiate between the business and the play. But when families get involved, and we know it did this summer with him not wanting to leave because his wife's residency wasn't finished yet, it becomes an even more sensitive and touchy situation. And I really do feel for all parties involved. It's not ideal. It's not a great situation. And it's certainly not a good situation for the Rangers to be living with in their locker room right now.
Yeah, business is business, but we're talking about, like you said, a captain, a glue guy, one of the core to this team, heartbeat to this team in this city. You heard from Peter Laviolette and some of the players after morning skate today. Obviously, that was before the news that he was traded, but what was that reaction like to the news that he was being held out for roster management?
Yeah, I mean, anytime that's the proclamation from the team, it's a pretty good indication that it was probably said players last time in the locker room. But it's tough to have to be fielding questions like this on a game day in particular, and especially given the state of the team right now. Everyone from Coach Laviolette, Mika Zibanejad, Chris Kreider, they know that they have to focus on the game tonight against the Penguins. So especially Kreider, I mean, he didn't want to talk about Jacob Trouba at all or making Team USA for Four Nations. He wanted to focus on the game because that's where the team's head needs to be right now. But it's not easy, though, I can imagine. But obviously, Zibanejad talked about Trouba as a person, teammate, and a leader. I mean, no one has a bad thing to say about Jacob Trouba in that room, and I think that's an obvious fact.
Do you think this news kind of becomes some hangover to the game tonight, or you think they kind of rally behind it and do it for their teammate, for their brother?
It's tough to say just because of how we've seen this team take other messages earlier this season. Yeah. Nothing seems to be working right now, but that's also a right now thing. You know, we're only a few days into December. It's still such an early part of the season. It is not a lost season by any means. And it looks like management is trying to make some moves to stir things up, shake things up, put some life into the roster, into the team. But it has the whole situation, the whole start to the season, from Trouba to the trade memo from Drury, everything has hung over this team, and it's been tough and heavy.
All right, that's the personal side of things of what Jacob Trouba meant to his teammates and in that locker room. Now, unfortunately, we got to get back to the business side of things. Mollie, do you think there are more moves that Chris Drury is going to be looking to make to help this roster and this team?
I definitely think this was just the start. They're clear. I mean, we haven't seen the return for Anaheim yet, but they're clearing $8 million in cap space. And as I mentioned before, Drury did send out that league-wide message to all other general managers eliciting trade partners. And there are a multitude of players who are available. But there are also a bunch of Rangers who have no move clauses. I know for a fact that Mika Zibanejad has not waived his. Panarin and Trocheck also have one, and Adam Fox's kicks in the next 2 seasons. But I mean, I don't really think any of those players are on the trade block anyway, but there are some some clauses that will make it a little bit difficult for Drury to make some major changes. But I still think, I mean, Trouba is a major change by itself. So I do think that there are more moves in the pipeline for sure.
Real quick, I know we're media, we're kind of, supposed to stay kind of in the middle, but we're around these guys all the time as well. It's like me with the Giants players when Daniel Jones was kind of, his situation went down. So what was Jacob Trouba like, for you in the media? What was he like, in that sense?
Yeah, I mean, he was a consummate professional captain. Since the moment that he was named, he was available a lot. Always spoke to us truthfully and honestly. But as I alluded to in my first answer, I haven't seen the Jacob Trouba who chucked his helmet in December 2022 and turned the whole Rangers season around. And I think that the Rangers needed a little bit of that. And I'm sure it was a little difficult for Trouba to give all of himself to a team that he probably felt spurned by in the offseason. And I think that affected. And there was also the relationship with us. We reported on the whole situation. So I do think that made it a little bit more of a tougher relationship for him to navigate. So it was a tough downfall to Jacob Trouba's tenure in New York and his captaincy in general. But can't say enough good things about him as a person.
That was real. Thanks for getting real with this. Thanks for taking the time out of your day. Take a deep breath because you got to be at the game tonight. But thanks for joining us, Mollie.
Thanks so much.